All right, James, welcome to the Texas Titans podcast, man. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's really great to be here, and it was very fortuitous how we met. So it's
Yeah.
all aligned.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Just real quick for the listener out there, because I know, like I was talking about a little bit offline, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, and there is no substitute for putting yourself out there and being willing to not just quote unquote network. That's just kind of
hmm
a slick, greasy term, but it's about find good people, make yourself available, and let it be known what you're trying to achieve. And the law of attraction, it's there. You will attract people that are like-minded, trying to achieve
hmm
some of the same things. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. And showing up is half the battle.
Yep.
And you met my friend and coworker James
Yep.
through a podcast. You listen to
Yeah.
the podcast, and the beauty of podcasts is you're listening to a conversation, and if if you like what you hear, it's like you become friends with them.
Yep.
It's like having a conversation with someone. So I guess what James said really resonated with you, and you
Yeah.
reached out, and the rest is history.
It really is. And to the listener, just let me give you a little bit of how this happened, because it is a really cool story. And I think as time goes on, it's going to be even cooler. And
hmm
for in my life, the way I see this all playing out, it's really quite remarkable. So I'm listening to the James Altucher podcast, one of my favorite podcasters, authors. I always say I don't know that. I mean, you may be able to consider James Altucher a polymath, but at a minimum, he's definitely a modern day Renaissance man.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to now our mutual friend James Quandal on there talk about James Altucher has actually chosen him just as a fan to mentor. And I'm listening to an episode where he's doing a coaching call with our friend James, and he decided to turn that coaching call into a podcast. And at the end of it, Altucher asks our James, "So, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the audience while they're here or they're listening?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a podcast. If anybody wants to contact me, here's my email address." And I was like, okay, this guy is doing the same things I'm trying to do. I'm going to contact him. I reached out. James reached out to me. We have now become friends. We're
hmm
brainstorming and figuring out things. Then he connects you and I, because so many of the things that I'm doing and that I want to do, I think could
hmm
benefit what you've got going on in organic muscle. And I want to see you succeed. And it's so bizarre. I tell my wife, all the time, especially the last 2 weeks, it's like, I don't know what's going on, but the stars seem to be lining
They
up. It's really
really
crazy.
do. And then my business partner is
Yeah,
super connected with you through all these
yeah,
different angles.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really cool. Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's a whole different other story where I find out, yeah, your business partner is a fellow East Texan. I mean, he's a deep East Texan, and
Oh yeah,
we're
he's
both
deep in there.
graduates of our beloved Stephen F. Austin State University. I tell you what, man, I
Lumberjacks.
just told, it's weird because I told my oldest daughter this morning, the universe is indifferent. It doesn't care whether you fail or succeed, but every once in a while, it looks like it's giving you a nice nod. It's
Yeah,
kind of things are
yeah,
lining up.
yeah. And I feel like, even if it is neutral, it kind of helps to feel in your heart that it is working in your favor. To frame
Absolutely.
events like it is, because if you frame it like it's working against you or it's neutral
Yep.
or indifferent, that can lead you down a different path.
Agree wholeheartedly, man. Agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get started. So, I want to know, first of all, I love the fact that, like so many others, you're almost like a reluctant entrepreneur. I don't know. Maybe you were always an entrepreneur and you just decided to execute that appetite in what you're doing right now.
hmm
Um, but I want to know, kind of, is go back as far as you want leading up to organic muscle, but then when that kind of that breaking point happened where you looked out there and you go, hey, there's a product that I want that does not exist, so I'm going to create it, which I think
hmm
is just so amazing. I love that. So just wherever you want to start it, James, let's roll with it, man.
Cool. I appreciate it. Well, it's been quite the journey, and I really didn't expect to be an entrepreneur when I was younger. I I worked several different jobs, and really a light bulb went off when I got my first internship at like a big corporation, and just sitting at an office desk working for someone else, it just felt wrong to me. Like it felt so meaningless. I didn't,
Hmm.
my heart wasn't in it. And I just knew deep down that I couldn't work for the man forever
I get it.
and be in a big office, just another cog in the machine, so to say.
Yep.
So that stuck with me, but I still didn't really have the confidence to think I was going to be an entrepreneur and branch off and start my own business. But it really just came to me when I was, a chunky kid. I was trying to get in shape and I started working out, started hitting the gym, and I wanted a little energy for my workout. So I started taking these pre-workout supplements. As many of you know, these pre-workouts are filled with every stimulant
Oh,
under the sun, absurd amounts of caffeine, sugar. I mean, it's like borderline illegal.
yeah.
So I took one of these pre-workouts and I had a horrible reaction. Started getting heart palpitations,
Hmm.
sweating profusely, couldn't breathe. And I was about to call 911 and go to the emergency room. I actually went outside my dorm room and just laid on the ground. And I was
Oh,
like, someone can come and find me here and
wow.
take me. But eventually I started feeling a little better. But I was thinking, man, I took this supplement to become healthy, to get fit, to look good and be healthy. And here I am laying on the ground, feeling like I'm dying, like it's pretty much the opposite effect. So I started looking for a healthy pre workout, a healthy energy drink. And this is almost 8 years ago. And at the time, there was really nothing. There wasn't a single certified organic, healthy pre workout on the market. And that's when the light bulb really went on. And I was like, there is a massive opportunity here. It's something I want to use personally. And I know many other people want to use just a healthy, clean, organic pre workout made of herbs and superfoods, natural sources of caffeine that doesn't make you a jittery crackhead.
Right.
And yeah, so I became obsessed with the idea. And I felt like it was my calling to create it and build this business, Organic Muscle.
Okay, so now that brings us to that. Imagine that there is a listener out there right now that they
Mhm.
have their idea. They're where you are. I mean, and I've both been there at a point where we realize that our why has become big enough that we're going to pursue any how to get from point A to point B. So
Mhm.
now that you know the product that's not there, the product that you want to have out there for you to consume personally and then bring to the
Mhm.
market, so what do you do? Where does the research begin? What are some of the questions that you start asking yourself, like as far as how am I going to capitalize this? How am I going to find business partners? And take us through some of those steps that you did in
Mhm.
those early days to figure out, okay, because I'm curious too, because but I want you to know you are kind of living one of my dreams. I've always thought how cool it would be to create a really high-end, clean product for either supplementation or a drink or something to that effect. Like I love Four Sigmatic. I put Four Sigmatic, with lion's mane in my coffee every morning. I try my best to make sure that all of my protein powders are, and now it's about to be organic muscle. I'll tell you right now, I want to make sure all my protein powders are, if not organic, at least as clean and premium as
Yeah,
possible, because there's a lot of just crap on the market. So
so
kind of
much.
what did you start doing? Is it making a list? What did that look like?
Well, a lot of people ask me about they want to start a business, but they're not sure which direction to go in.
Hmm.
And I tell them I had business ideas before, but this one hit me like a bolt of lightning and I became obsessed. And I think that is a necessary prerequisite for starting your business. Uh, Napoleon Hill calls it the burning desire.
Yeah.
You have to have a burning desire that I couldn't sleep at night. My mind was constantly thinking about, how am I going to get this certified organic? Who do I need to talk to? How do I raise money? And I had business ideas before that, and I didn't have that burning desire. And thus,
Hmm.
I wasn't asking myself those questions constantly. So I think first thing, you need to make sure you're obsessed with this idea. Like to the point where you can't sleep at night. That's how bad you want to do it. Because then you're going to ask yourself all of the necessary questions that you need to progress with the business and starting it. So yeah, just a ton of research, talking to people in the industries. I started talking to nutritionists, naturopathic doctors, business leaders, other people who had started supplement companies, and just gathering as much data as I can.
Mhm.
And then you kind of cipher it down, and things start making sense.
Well, okay, I want to back up a little bit because you said something there that I really liked. You talked about Napoleon Hill, and
Hmm.
I'm a big Napoleon Hill fan. He was the Tony Robbins of his day.
Yeah.
And I encourage any listener out there, if you're not, and that's what's so fun about this podcast. Whenever I get emails and stuff, most people, they read the same things that we're talking about. So were you reading Napoleon Hill and some of those things while you were in the corporate job, kind of the
No,
cog? When did all
no,
that
this
happen?
was after. This is in hindsight. You know, Probably a couple years into starting the business, I
Okay,
started reading
that's
Napoleon
smart.
Hill, and yeah, and it was really interesting because I look back and I was like, wow, that was the burning desire. That
Yep.
is what I experienced. And and it explained why other ideas I had had in the past and other goals maybe had kind of just fizzled out because my heart wasn't in it like it
Yeah.
was with this. So I think that's kind of the foundation that everything lies on. If you don't have that, you don't have anything else.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up, so whenever I was on vacation this week, I met a guy and I told him that I do some performance coaching, not like a physical trainer, but I do business coaching and and peak performance coaching, and a lot of it has to do with mental and mental wellness and brain acuity and that sort of thing. And I, whenever I sit down with a client, there's some things I want to put in their hands to start programming their brain in the right direction. And
Mhm.
it's amazing to me how a lot of people, now some of it I know people think, oh, that's just a bunch of woo stuff, or, no, I'm not going to read, Dale Carnegie and Napoleon Hill and Schultz, The Magic of Thinking Big and those things. But
Mhm.
nearly every, truly high peak performer, from Stephen Kotler to Tony Robbins to Tim Ferriss. I think Tim Ferriss, the most recommended book he always says is The Magic of Thinking Big. That's an old
Mhm.
50s style self-help book. But this stuff, you have to program your brain, and for like where you are, whenever you stepped off into the world of entrepreneurship, man, it's so important to start
Mhm.
finding those tools that feed your brain, right? So
Yeah,
so kudos
that's
to you for
so
figuring that
true.
out.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. And mindset really is everything.
Yep.
Especially for entrepreneurship, it's so essential because I know there's been many times in my life where I had a more negative mindset, and
Yeah.
inevitably, things with my business, things with my life started going in a poor direction.
Yeah.
And when I was able to fix my mindset and learn from those mistakes, everything starts getting better. So.
Well, tell me whenever you knew that you had a business, when you decided, okay, you were doing the research, but there
Mhm.
comes that point where you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm pushing in all my chips, and at some point, you probably had to leave a job. You probably had to sit down and
Yeah.
look and go, how much savings do I have to just get to feed myself and to have shelter?
Mhm.
When did that happen, and what was, if you can pinpoint it, what was the defining moment that after doing the research you decided, okay, one, I've got an idea that is worth pursuing, and two, my why is now big enough that I'm going after it. When did that
Mhm.
happen?
That's a great question. I started talking to a lot of people about my idea, and I started talking to nutritionists and friends, people from the gym, and I got a universally like very intrigued response. Like, oh wow. Like it was almost like they were like, crap, why didn't I think of that? I want to do that. And I just knew that I'm a consumer, and I knew this was a product I would use every day. And I was talking to my friends. Yeah, I would use that. I don't like using Jacked or C4. It makes me feel
Right.
like crap. So just feedback from lots of people and even like accomplished nutritionists and stuff. And that's when it kind of clicked in my head. And then I came up with the name Organic Muscle, and that was available. And I was like, okay, that name is available. That's like the best name I've ever heard. I have to do
Right.
this.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it is. It's a great name.
Organicmuscle.com was available,
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, I'm trademarking it. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. And which a lot of times too, let's be honest, James, a lot of times that's what makes a idea seem real. Whenever like my wife makes fun of me because I own so many domain names that are just sitting dormant,
Yeah, me
but
too.
there's something about it. And to the listener, you have to, whatever it takes to make your idea come to life. And if it's just rattling around in your head, it's not real. You need to write on
So
paper,
funny.
right?
I just bought a domain 5 minutes before I came on here for a new product I'm launching.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the same thing. Buying this domain, it's like putting into the ether. It's making this
Yes.
product like it's the beginning the process of making this product a reality.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it might be in a year or whatever, might be in 2 years, but the process has now begun. That product will come and it will, I think it's going to be a great success.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit because what you like, I guess it was Zig Ziglar who used to say that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to
Yeah.
start to be great. And I'm constantly fascinated with people that do have amazing ideas and they're just waiting for that perfect moment. And I've been guilty of this. I mean,
Hmm.
I think that to again, advice to the listener, be willing to do something pretty crappy, because if it's worthwhile. I mean, Tiger Woods was not a scratch golfer the first time he picked up a golf
Yeah.
club, and he was a freaking prodigy. Most people suck at whatever it is that they become masterful at when they first start it, and it's that way with a business. But you
Hmm.
just have to freaking
You
start, and sometimes and it
just
doesn't
have to
have
do it.
right, and it doesn't have. It's just that first step. It's the domain
Yeah.
name. It's ordering
Yeah.
the business cards, whatever the case may be. Right.
I'm so happy you brought this up because it's something I wanted to discuss. I want your audience to understand that when I started Organic Muscle, I was a 23-year-old fat kid who played computer games all day and who partied on the weekends and was just, I mean, you would never expect in a million years that I would own a successful fitness business. Never. And, a large part of myself didn't believe that I could do it. But I believed in the idea so much that I just jumped into the fire. And I'm so happy I did that because if I waited around for the perfect moment to do it, it just never would have happened. The moment would have never been ideal.
Right.
So I'm so happy I threw myself into the fire, and that led the greatest self-development journey I could have ever asked for because now I was in it. Now I was living that life, and now it was a baptism by fire essentially.
Yeah.
And it led me to lose 90 pounds and learn so much about nutrition and health and fasting and entrepreneurship. And if I hadn't done it, maybe I'd still be a fat kid playing Age of Empires.
Yeah, yeah. Just wishing that you had a good pre-workout, drink,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And okay, so and let's stay there for a little bit. So tell me about some of those things early on, because when you do take that first step, inevitably there are those setbacks. There are people that tell you, who the hell do you think you are? Or that
Yeah.
universally it seemed like a good idea, but there's still those instances that happen in every entrepreneur's life. What were some of those early setbacks that you faced, and how did you drive through them to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, I don't want to say haters, but doubters.
Hmm.
And it was understandable. It was, who is this guy to give fitness advice? He's chunky,
Yeah.
and that's a legitimate concern. And I could have let that destroy me, but I let it drive me, and it motivated me to learn as much as I can and to get as healthy as I can. Um, people aren't going to believe in you until you truly embody what you're representing. And it took me a few years to really start embodying it. And it's an ever going process. You have a company about the holistic health of your mind, body, and spirit. That's a life's work to
Yeah.
truly embody that. Well, I'm so grateful to have the business because it keeps me accountable to that.
Yeah.
It's every morning I'm like, it helps me be a better man and to be healthier and more productive, everything.
Man, that's such a great point because, there's so many people out there. And I read this somewhere. I don't know. You just sparked something where someone was writing that whatever your job or your vocation is, if it causes you to be something other than who you really are, then you
Mm,
need to question it. And I mean, grant the world needs accountants and lawyers and all
mhm,
sorts of other things that I would absolutely hate to do. But, you know, what you just said, I think, is one of the reasons why I jumped into creating media like this. And I'm going to get to a point about money here in a minute because I think that the cool thing is we've both talked about entrepreneurship. You've talked about organic muscle, your dream, and you never once have said, and man, I thought I could crush it financially. I thought I could,
mhm,
roll up, in a Lamborghini that was Hulk green
mhm.
with a personalized license plate that somehow signified, or it was
Yeah,
none of that.
yeah, yeah,
It was all
yeah.
about a life that you were designing. And,
Mhm,
I wrote a book. Here's a cheap, shameless plug. I wrote a book called Push Play, Taking Your Life Off Pause. And that's exactly what it was, James. It's to tell people that, if you're living a life that feels like it should belong to somebody else other than you, let that be a reason to take pause. And you nailed it, man. I mean, this by being in that life every single day, then it holds you accountable to be who you
mhm,
really are. That's beautiful. I
mhm.
love that.
Thank you, and it's so rewarding, and I truly believe that if you provide value and you help people, that the riches will follow. But
Yes.
the chief aim is really to help people and build a great company.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that will be rewarded.
Yeah. And you just said that right there. And that's what I try to tell my daughters that, you know, I think it was Dave Grohl, the founder of Foo Fighters, one time that said, if you do something well enough, long enough, eventually someone will notice and they will pay you to do that thing. It's all
Hmm.
about, and to the listener,
Yeah,
again, it's as simple as this. It's exactly what James just said. Find where you can add value. Take a
yeah,
look at your gifts, your talents, and figure out where can I offer the world some value. And if you offer
yeah.
that value, eventually people will seek you out and they will exchange their treasure for your services.
Yeah, it's like a law of the universe. If you're
Yep.
providing value, you'll be reciprocated because it's
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All
uh,
right. And then, so tell me about the organic world because I admittedly, as much as I geek out on health, nutrition, you mentioned some of the things, fasting, keto and generating ketones in your body, all those things.
mhm.
When it comes to organic, I am relatively ignorant. I mean, so take the listener, give them a kind of an understanding of, and also I want you to tell me some of the things, like I hear these things like, well, some things are quote unquote certified organic, but they just kind of go through all the loopholes and figure out just enough to make it organic. What's that
Yeah,
world like? Why is it
yeah,
important? Why should the listener be looking for something that's organic versus not?
yeah. Well, first of all, there's a lot of posers in the organic world, especially on the internet. So
Hmm.
it's a serious crime to have a fake like organic label on your
Right.
product. But if you're on Amazon or on the internet, you could just say, "Hey, we're organic." And in reality, they have gone through zero of the organic processes. They're not certified by the Department of Agriculture. They use every pesticide under the sun. But the main benefit with organic products is you're avoiding the non-GMOs, or I'm sorry, you're avoiding the GMOs, and you're avoiding these loads of varying pesticides that they use for farming nowadays. So these pesticides can have a really terrible effect on your digestive system. There's some studies about the impact on cognitive function,
Hmm.
on skin health. Um, it's there's the list goes on and on. So what we try to do is try and really just take it back to the roots of farming, to simpler farming tactics, simpler processing without and there is a time and place for some of these more modified farming practices. We have a lot of people to feed and stuff, but
Yep.
if we're trying to optimize our health, then I believe, closer to nature is better. So the simpler the process, the less pesticides used, none of the GMOs, and we, our customers really feel the difference in the product. You just feel better. Your skin looks healthier, more vibrant, none of the jitters and different issues with some of these other pre-workouts and proteins.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think that people take for granted too is, and I was one of them, is that you think that, well, as long as I'm doing plenty of cardio, I'm working out, and even managing calories, that's enough. But I just got Ben Greenfield's book, Boundless. Have you seen that
Boundless,
thing?
yeah, it's, yeah,
Good
I have,
grief. I mean,
yeah,
you could lift that book a few, bench that book a few times a day, and you're gonna get ripped. I mean, it's like a textbook.
yeah,
And as the more that more people are learning about the science of nutrition, and it's becoming
hmm,
more mainstream. It's not just, something that, well, you go to a dietitian for because you are fat and you're just trying to, you're at your
yeah,
wits end. Now it's guys like us that are healthy, learning what you put in your body and the way it impacts your moods, your sleep, your energy. Uh,
everything,
those
yeah.
and it's so fun. So let's talk about that a little bit, since you've gone way farther down that rabbit hole than I have, because you've turned it into a business. Take me through some of the things that you, outside of organic muscle, and how you incorporate organic muscle into your routine. But what are you doing to reach optimal performance, cognitively? And hey man, I'm 46, so skincare is really important to me. I don't want to
Hmm.
look my age. And so kind of, what are some of the things that you're doing outside of your products?
So I'm a massive proponent of fasting. It's
Same.
truly changed my life. I actually haven't eaten since Wednesday. So
Wow,
I'm
dude.
totally fasted. And it it is crazy how much energy you have.
Yeah.
It is like I cannot stop. I'm like working out, doing yoga, just working nonstop, going hiking with my dog. It's like the energy is boundless and boundless
There
by
we go.
Greenfield.
Another plug for me.
But I've used fasting to lose almost 90 pounds. So,
Wow.
I see some of these fitness channels on YouTube and they're like, fasting doesn't work, it's unhealthy. I'm like, all right, well, tell that to Fat James.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I still have a ton of muscle. I preserved all my muscle. I'm stronger than I was when I was 90
Mhm.
pounds heavier. So it's if you fast correctly, you'll preserve your muscle, and I believe you could even build muscle. But I tell people it helps so much if you drink salt water. If you add salt to your water, maybe a little apple cider vinegar, and then I have some electrolyte tablets I could put in.
Which
It
ones do
makes
you
it
use?
easy.
Which ones? Because I'm right now. I'm going through. I just tried Elements. They sent me a free sample pack from Thomas DeLauer, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
yeah.
fast food,
Of course,
he
he's
had a
great.
little he had a little deal where I could get like a sample pack of Element, and I like that better than the Liquid IV is great, but it's got some sugar in it, and so and it
Mhm.
also, it's like 50 calories per packet, so there's some
Oh yeah,
metabolization where
that'll break a fast for sure. It's
that's
got to be just the straight
yep.
minerals, potassium, magnesium. I think the brand I use is called Revive. I'm actually not sure right now,
Okay.
but that helps so much. And then obviously breaking a fast is extremely important. What you refeed with.
Yep.
So I honestly break with an avocado and a organic muscle protein shake. For me, that is like perfect. Because if you eat a big meal after a long fast, you could actually get pretty sick.
Right.
So that's an art in of itself. But I'm a huge proponent of 48-hour fasts. I think that's the perfect length. You start seeing, I mean, your growth hormone boosts by 200%.
Yep.
It's like doing a cycle of testosterone,
Yep.
and you feel it. You feel
Yep.
that testosterone coursing through your veins. You feel
Yep.
the focus, you feel the productivity, you just feel the kind of, I don't want to say dominance, but you just feel very confident. And
You One of the
Sorry,
things
go ahead.
I've noticed, man, is that like there will be times, and I want to talk more about your kind of your fasting schedule, but just to reinforce what you said, I describe it to a lot of people whenever I'm in a fasted state, especially to your point, the longer fasts, and little in full transparency, when I was in business school, I took some not some Vyvanse, which is like
Yeah,
Adderall or one of those, okay,
yeah.
and it was prescribed, so kids, I didn't go buy it from some undergrad at SMU. It was prescribed to me, and I I describe when I'm in a proper fasted state, it's almost like I've had a Vyvanse. I mean, I'm
It's
chatty, I'm energetic, I'm focused. It's almost like, whoa, I mean, it
such a
really
great comparison. Yeah, it's like that without the horrible side effects.
exactly.
'Cause I've experienced that as well, and you get very focused, but it's I was just feel gross when I was on Adderall or whatever.
Oh, it's
You
terrible.
feel just dirty, and there's a come down. With this, it's just like you feel high on life,
Yep.
and yeah, you feel so chatty, but so focused and honed in. It's a
And then
really beautiful feeling.
I'll also say, because I mentioned, so 46 years old, that's me.
You
And
look
so grow
amazing, by the way.
well,
You're clearly doing a lot of things right.
well, I appreciate it. And I guess the ring light helps too. So, but no, I do, man. I try hard, and I've really started taking a keen interest in my skincare and all of it, and especially testosterone production. And so, gosh, man, I guess it was 6 years ago. I had no energy. I was just tapped out. And so again, my doctor recommended some hormone therapy. So I got the pellets,
Mhm,
and with the slow release
mhm.
testosterone. And to you guys out there that you're doing that, I mean, and if any of my if my physician listens to the podcast, I'm not saying, I'm sorry if this harms your business, but I can tell you right now that managing my diet and incorporating fasting as a regular part of that, my testosterone levels are exactly at the level they were whenever I was doing testosterone treatments, maybe above, and I
Yeah,
certainly have not felt any muscle decline. My energy has increased. It hit that to me, and for guys as they get older, that is a
yeah.
huge, that's a huge win.
It's honestly one of the greatest tools that's provided to humanity. I
Yeah.
mean, and to think about it, Jesus, Buddha, all of the great religious
Yep.
leaders of the past, what did they have in common? They promoted fasting.
Yep.
So there's really something to it. And if we, it's just a decision. We can make a decision to fast and see these amazing benefits.
Right. Well, and not only that, but like, you know, one of the things that struck me. So I travel a lot for business, not as much as I used to, but and it's pretty common to go to some conference or a meeting, and they'll have a lunch.
Hmm.
And if in again, listener, if you've ever wondered why when you go to some big lunch you fall asleep or you want to fall asleep on the way home, it's because what the digesting takes a lot out of you. Most people don't chew their food long enough. They eat
Yeah,
way too much, both volume and calorically. And it just wears your body out. And your body's like, when you got to
totally.
listen to your body, right? I mean, it's telling you,
Yeah.
hey, enough.
Yeah, and our body doesn't know how to handle a lot of these new different pesticides and these different it's not real food. Half the food we eat isn't real food, and it's very confusing to our digestive system.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, how much energy does it take to digest food? Your body is spending so much energy on it. So when you give your body a break from that, uh, it gives your body opportunity to heal your gut, heal various issues. It's autophagy,
Right.
recycling the older cells. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
And talk about,
rebuilding your body.
yeah, talk about that a little bit, because I say it a lot, but let's talk about autophagy, because that's another thing too. So Fat James, as you called him, lost 90
Mhm.
pounds from fasting, but we've talked about the extra testosterone production as a result of fasting, but also this thing called autophagy. Really, at this point, I mean, I want to, I'm always, really, I'm kind of obsessed with trying to lower my body fat percentage, but weight, I don't care as much as once I hit my magical
Hmm.
number, which was 195 for me. I'm 6'2", 195. I'm good with that, but I want it to
Hmm.
be a really lean 195, right? So
Yeah.
now whenever I tell people that I'm fasting, and again, to those who are kind of ignorant to autophagy and all the other benefits of fasting, they think, well, why are you on a quote unquote diet? I'm not on a freaking diet. It helps with autophagy, which talk a little bit about that to the listener, James, about what autophagy is and why it's important.
Autophagy is basically the the taking of weak cells and recycling them and making them strong new cells. So you would see the benefits in your organs, in your skin, in your hair, in your nails, and your muscle. It's basically consolidation and the revamping of these various types, and also your immune system, your white blood cells.
Yeah.
So it's out with the weak, in with the strong.
Well,
And
and you
the body has the energy to do that because you're not spending 90% of your energy digesting this cheeseburger in your stomach.
right, right. And to go back to your point earlier, one of the things that I started focusing on, a while back was when you're breaking a fast. A lot of people are like, I've been fasting for, 16, 18 hours, or in your case, 48 hours. I can go eat whatever the hell I want. Well, no, then you kind of defeat the autophagy, right? Because right,
Yeah.
that's the perfect time. Your cells are hungry and ready to absorb some really good
Yeah.
nutrients, right?
Oh, they are waiting. They're
Yep.
ready. And whatever you give them, they're gonna use it. You know that's gonna be used, you know? If
Yep.
you have a big, massive meal and you're eating all the time, a lot of that stuff might just go out the exit
Yep.
without the nutrients being digested. But if you're super fasted, your body is going to utilize that for whatever they can. They're gonna use all of it. So you have to be very, very cognizant of what you're eating, and also with what makes you feel good, because
Yeah.
certain foods, your stomach is very sensitive after a long fast. I've
Hmm.
noticed that for some reason I can't have eggs, and I love eggs,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason after a long fast, eggs make me super sick. So it's a learning process. It takes experimentation. You'll learn what works well for you, but I'm just all about that avocado and a protein shake, and then a couple hours later I'll have like a proper meal,
Yeah.
like some chicken and vegetables, or salmon and vegetables, whatever. But initially, just the avocado seems to really just, it's very kind to the stomach, at
Do
least
you
for
put
me.
do you put it in your shake, or is it on the side?
I have it separately. I sprinkle a little
Okay.
balsamic vinegar on it. It's so
Oh,
good.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me what your typical fasting schedule is. I know you said 48
So
hours, but how does that work?
yeah, I do 48 or 72. I'm really trying to get shredded right now, but usually I'll have dinner on Sunday night. I'll have a big dinner,
Okay.
and then I just won't eat again until Tuesday night, or sometimes Wednesday night. And during the fast, all I drink is water with salt and apple cider vinegar and electrolytes. And I'll also have green tea or black tea,
Okay.
and maybe a tiny bit of stevia. I used to do coffee, but I found I just feel better if I'm not doing coffee. On the coffee can be very strong, and a little
Right.
harsh on the stomach.
Yep.
So, and but with the green tea, I have so much energy. It's insane. And I work out, I do yoga, I do everything I normally do. I don't work out super heavy or super intense, but I go in and get a pump, and it signals to your muscles like, hey,
Hmm.
hold on to this. Don't,
Hmm.
you know, we're it's important to send that signal,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you can hold on to the muscle.
So what does Sunday night dinner look like, and what are you thinking whenever you're preparing it to make sure that you get the right combination? Is it caloric intake? Is it a mixture of carbs and protein? What does that dinner look
Yeah,
like?
so I'm not a calories in, calories out guy. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are. I just focus on the quality, and I know generally how many calories and the macros of
Mhm.
what I'm eating are, but I just
Mhm.
try and get the highest quality food I can, and I try and eat amount that is satisfactory, but not gluttonous, you know?
Yep.
Um, so like honestly, for me, I really love eating just a grass-fed steak,
Mhm.
sweet potato, and a bunch of broccoli, something like
Yeah.
that. Or I'll rotate grass-fed steak, wild caught salmon, and you know, free range chicken. I just oh actually I've been eating bison lately too, and I've seen incredible results from bison. The lean
Yeah.
protein is amazing.
Well, I'm really excited, and I will try to hook you up with the owner. So one of my consulting clients, they own a ranch up in Oklahoma where they're raising bison, and I think they're about
Nice,
to do a deal with Butcher Box to.
cool.
But either way, they are going to be providing, and they are it's top quality. So I'm kind of excited about that, and so I'll see if I can't send them your way and see if we can't kind of do a little collab with Organic Muscle and some of their
Cool.
bison. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because organic muscle, all of our supplements are plant-based. And I do truly believe that plants have an important role in human health and in supplementation.
Yep.
But I don't discount the value of meat. In I believe eating meat is healthy, at least for me. I
Right.
feel best when I'm eating meat, but I do have a lot of respect for people who choose not to. And if
Right.
they want to go down that path, I do believe it's a little more difficult to have vibrant health with only plants, but it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's really cool that we're talking too, because tell me what your thoughts are on whey protein. I've heard pros and cons, but I'm hearing more cons lately. And I've always been my staple protein powder. And by the way, I will tell to the listener right now, it is not a premium one. It's just one that ranks decently well for the price. And I just like the way it tastes, honestly. And that's
Yeah.
whey standard, the standard gold whey, whatever that is. I've
Hmm.
had that. That's been my go-to for years.
Yeah.
But so tell me what the benefits of a plant-based protein versus a whey, or I guess whatever else might be out there.
Yeah. You know, I'm not a hater on whey, but I've just found personally that, and with most people I talk to, is that they have a hard time digesting whey. I
Yeah,
can't digest whey at all. I mean, you guys don't want to know what happens if I have whey.
I'm the same
It's
way,
not
man.
good. But
Yeah,
but for a lot of people, and I don't think they're absorbing the protein too if they're having those digestive issues. So it's, in my opinion, they're probably just, it might just be a waste of time. They're just
okay.
making themselves sick and they're not actually absorbing the protein. With our plant-based protein, I mean, I feel amazing after. I could drink it after a 72-hour fast and feel amazing.
Right.
So that to me tells me that my body is using everything, and actually the protein is being used for muscle growth. So I tell people, if you digest whey better and you have a good experience with it, then your body, I mean, you should use whey.
Right.
But if not, I would recommend going to an organic plant-based protein.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's shift gears a little bit. As an entrepreneur and someone that, again, like we talked about, we geek out on the same stuff. I love learning routines. I'm a big routine guy, and I know that you have one. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. So kind of and be kind of take it from micro to macro, but starting with a morning routine. That's where you own the day. What does James Benefico gets up out of bed? What does the morning look like, and kind of how do you manage your day as both nutritionally, cognitively, as a business
Hmm.
owner? What does it look like?
Yeah. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I thank God for a new day. And I like starting the day with some gratitude. I have a gratitude journal, and I just have
Amen.
three bullets, and I say what I'm thankful for. And this is a fairly recent practice I started, and it's made such a profound difference in my life. Just starting the day from a place of gratitude instead of being like a grumpy curmudgeon, you know, just like
Yep.
it's easy to get. I honestly used to wake up and just go on Twitter and just get sucked into this wormhole of negativity.
Right,
And I was like, why am I always so angry? I don't understand.
right,
But
right.
uh, you know, I deleted Twitter and, you know, 90 95% of notifications from my phone. and it's just helped everything so much, my productivity and my well-being. So I highly recommend that to people, is just
Yes.
limit the notifications as much as you can and stay off social media as much as you can, because it sucks you into other people's worlds. And
Yep.
we're trying to create our own worlds here with entrepreneurship, right?
That's right. Amen.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So what else?
I do, then I chug a bunch of water. I try and chug
Okay.
as much water as I can. And actually, before I chug the water, I weigh myself.
Yep.
And that's kind of sets my, weighing yourself, weight isn't everything, but it's
Yeah.
just, it's good to have that number. Good
Yeah.
to have it in mind. I wouldn't obsess over it, but you know, if you're not paying attention, next thing you know, you've gained 10 pounds and you didn't even realize it, you know?
What gets
So
met? It's just saying. It's just like your P&L. It's like anything else. What gets measured gets managed. I'm in agreement
yeah.
with you. I don't want to promote someone to be obsessed about it and to think that that number should rule their life. I'm with you,
hmm
but you've got to keep an eye on the numbers. I'm with you. So same thing every day. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's crazy. I mean, you don't even realize how quickly you could gain weight if you're not
Yep.
paying attention to it.
Yep.
So that's been a great practice, and that motivates me to fast every
Yep.
week. Um, so yeah, that's, then I take my dog out to take a pee, and that's and then I write my goals for that. I review my chief definite aim. Napoleon Hill talks about your chief definite aim, your ultimate, your highest goal in life.
Yep.
So it's very important to review that on the daily, and then you can align your daily goals with your chief definite aim.
Yeah.
So then I kind of just write my goals for the day in order of importance, and that's my morning routine.
What does your training schedule look like? Because I'm trying to. I think I've been kind of, especially now that I've really. It's weird how this is all kind of lined up, because I discovered Ben Greenfield. How I missed him all these years, I don't understand, because the guy is just absolutely
Incredible.
amazing.
He's
And it
like
wasn't. Oh,
the
he's
wealth of
supernatural.
knowledge. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It's intimidating.
oh, it's like, oh gosh, I will never be that guy. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's amazing.
truly, and he's a remarkable human being. And so I just discovered him, and it was right. I mean, gosh, it was probably 2 weeks after I subscribed to his newsletter, I meet James Quandall. And so
Wow.
it's like it happened that quick. And then, of course, James has worked with Ben. That's why I'm telling you. That's why, going back to where this conversation started, how things are just kind of all coming together in a really weird, crazy way. Then I find out that I have Dr. Michael Eads, who was on the last episode of the Texas Titans podcast, a friend of mine. Well, it turns out he's really close friends with Peter Attia, who is one of the first names that Ben mentions in his book, Boundless. So
hmm
it's just so weird. But all that long, diatribe to say, I'm rethinking my training routine after
hmm
looking at what Ben does, because I get up early, really early, and do a hard, like, try to do 1,000 calorie burn workout that includes heavy cardio. There's going to be some resistance work. It's pretty intense. But Ben recommends easing into the morning, more of an easier, entree to the day, and then doing, well, if you're going to do a hardcore workout, do it like later in the afternoon. So I'm trying to rethink
hmm
that. What does your training look like?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I found I'm a little bit weaker first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
and it takes the body a little time to kind of warm up. But sometimes I will do yoga at like 9 a.m.
Okay.
So I've been up for a couple hours, and that will get me warmed up and stretched out. But usually I work out, I would say between 12 and 3, depending on my
Okay.
schedule that day.
Yeah.
I start off with the Stairmaster. I'm a big fan of the Stairmaster.
Hmm.
It really gets the blood flowing, gets the sweat flowing, and it builds like crazy legs. I mean, my calves are so developed now,
Yeah.
and my posture's improved a lot since I started doing that. It's really hard at first though. When I first started, it was not fun, but now it's
Right.
like pretty addicting. And then, you know, a lot of people are more, I guess, more organized in the gym, but I do it based on what muscle groups are feeling good that day.
Hmm.
And I kind of wing it. It's I I think scheduling it is really good for a lot of people, and it's probably the best way. But I'm working out so frequently
Hmm.
and doing yoga so often that a lot of times I just need to do whatever I can, whatever's
Yeah.
not sore at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but I have started doing more full body, doing a little bit of everything as opposed to just blasting one body part.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing really good results with that right now.
Well, and it sounds to me like, see, you're doing something too that I've tried to adopt that Ben promotes, which is not to do like one, fixed hardcore workout, but basically just find moments throughout your day to be active. And so
Yeah,
like when we were on vacation, I go to the bathroom and I do some air squats. I did my first air squats on an airplane in an airplane bathroom, this
yeah,
trip. Just finding those and go find a place to do some pull-ups or whatever.
yeah.
You've mentioned yoga several times. Now, I'm a total novice at yoga. I'm a believer
Hmm.
in yoga. I do it once a week. I should probably add to that. Talk to me about the benefits you've seen with yoga.
Oh man, I've seen tremendous benefits. It's just in flexibility, so many guys, 95% of guys that work out are going in there and they're blasting their